talk about Bear Bachmeier. Now, he had a career high in rushing against the Colorado Buffaloes, and had he not had to take a couple of runs that lost yardage at the tail end of that game as they tried to kill the clock off, he very well would have had his first 100-yard rushing performance of the season. Came up a few yards short, short in his pursuit of that on Saturday night. But as he told BYU TV after the game, his whole mentality is to win football games. But a few of you in our insiders group and otherwise sent me notes. I got a couple via DM, one via email, asking me essentially the same question. Jake, should BYU be running Bear Bachmeier as much as they are? Well, to be honest, probably not. But there's a caveat to that. Bear Bachmeier is the consummate football player. He is a kid, you can tell, that loves the game almost more than life itself. He has dedicated his life to this sport. And there's a reason why. He is the starting quarterback for the BYU football program as a 19-year-old true freshman. It's very impressive to see him accomplishing what he's accomplished so far. I'll reiterate the point. I've said it 4 or 5 times now in the last week or so here on the podcast. He is the first quarterback in BYU football history to start their first 4 games, have 10-plus touchdowns in said games, but with 0 turnovers. He is playing marvelous football. There is just zero doubt about the fact that he is balling out right now, but hits add up. And when you run as often as he did against Colorado, it will obviously put him at risk of taking one of those hits that could cause injury. I think all of us out there, if you're old enough, remember what happened to Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, bar none, is one of the best athletes to ever grace Brigham Young University. I'm talking just sheer athleticism. I don't care what the sport is. Sheer athleticism. Taysom Hill might be the GOAT in that department. What happened? Well, season-ending injury after season-ending injury, and a lot of the times they came on crazy plays, but you can't tell me that the hits didn't add up for him throughout his career. To his credit, in the NFL, he has stayed fairly durable. Now, did suffer some injuries of late that have precluded him from seeing the field fully for the New Orleans Saints. But I think a guy like Taysom Hill is that cautionary tale that BYU needs to avoid with a guy like Bear Bachmeier. Now, I'm not coming out right now and saying that they need to make him a statue in the pocket and make sure that he just throws the ball down the field or doesn't take hits. No, that is not the way Bear Bachmeier plays the game of football. There's a reason why he wears the number 47. He says it gives him a football mindset. He grew up playing running back and linebacker, and he wears that number to pay homage to his roots as a football player, and that is in the hitting portion of the game. There is an inherent violence in this sport, speaking of football, that lends itself to injuries. I never played past the high school level. I think a lot of you who are everydayers know that, but I still have some lingering dings and dents, even from just playing high school football. The longer you play, the hits add up. And Bear Bachmeier is very early on in what appears to be an exceptionally bright future as a college football player. And if he keeps on the track he's on, very likely to play at the professional level. That's the type of career arc that we're seeing take off here for Bear Bachmeier. The last thing, and I reiterate, the last thing you want to see is it being precluded by a slew of injuries a la Taysom Hill. As I mentioned, Taysom, he's made his millions in the NFL. It worked out for him. But who could have believed when you saw him go down time after time after time in his BYU career that it would have worked out the way it did in the NFL for Taysom? I don't think even in his heart of hearts, he could have planned for it the way it's worked out. That's what BYU has to weigh here as they go about their game plans with Bear Bachmeier. It is in his nature. He is going to absorb hits. He is a football player first and foremost. He has got God-given talent to throw a football as well as anybody I've seen in recent memory at BYU, but he's also got incredible athleticism. We had the Portland State head coach call him a centaur. Those are words that I can't use on this podcast, but he's not wrong about it. The way that Bear Bachmeier is built is unlike many freshmen out there in the world. Look at his lower half of his body. I'm talking about his legs, calves, thighs, trunk. He is a well put together athlete, much like a guy like Taysom Hill. He is built to absorb hits, just the way he is made up. But the violence in this game, there's always a guy bigger. There's always a guy a little bit faster. There's always a guy who has an angle on you that those hits, they can cripple your future. And I don't use that term lightly when I use the term cripple, because It's a sport. Like I said, the violence, it can do things that would stop you from continuing playing this game. So to answer the question, the long answer to a short question, I understand why BYU ran him as much as they did against Colorado. They needed to. They needed to win the football game. Winning is what we're here for. We want to watch our team, in this case, BYU, win more football games than they lose. And they're off to an incredible start. Mitch Harper pointed this out yesterday, asking, I think it was Kalani Sitake, a question. It might have been one of the players. BYU's won 15 of their last 17 games they have played. That's an incredible mark. And it shows how far this BYU football program has come in a very, very short time after a 5-7 start in Big 12 play. It was much like a false start in college football. Like they came out of the gates, felt like, okay, they're going to go bowling. Nope, fell flat on their face and lost out the end of that 2023 season. 2024, what a bounce back effort it has been, and it's only continued here with 2025 here and Bear Bachmeier at the helm of this BYU offense. He will still run the football. I absolutely believe that's going to be the case because it's part of Aaron Roderick's offensive game plan. But do you need to run him necessarily as much? Probably not. And that's where I want to see more traction gained for a guy like LJ Martin. Now, LJ, I don't think was at his best against Colorado. Obviously, BYU is missing Sione Moa and guys like Enoch Nawahine. We saw Preston Rex. I don't even remember if we saw Jovesa Demuni in that game, but they proved decently ineffectual. Is that probably the wrong term to, I don't know. That they didn't necessarily stand out, but Kalani Sitake said that you're going to learn these guys' names. Well, I hope they break out because they need to lessen the load on Bear Bachmeier. And the number one thing they need to lessen the load about is those hits, those runs, because he will run. There will obviously be times when he's flush from the pocket, and he showed that against Colorado. He's got a great ability to improvise, keep his balance, and find his way up the field. It's something that you're going to be able to take advantage of if you're Aaron Roderick in this BYU offense. He will find himself in situations where, simply put, he has to run. But do you need to call as many QB runs as you did against Colorado? Probably not, but that goes directly to the BYU offensive line and BYU's running backs to step up and say, give us the ball and let us do that dirty work for you. So that's kind of the answer I've got for you guys is yes, Bear Bachmeier, he's going to continue to run the football, but I don't think that the load that they put on him against Colorado is going to be one that they're going to be saying, we're going to do that every single game. Bear is a very, very strong human being. He's got incredible genetics. As I mentioned, you just look at his makeup. He's built to play football. He's so far a very durable player, but you don't want to put him in a situation where, once again, you preclude what appears to be a very bright future by putting him in a situation where he takes just one extra hit that costs him. And that's the give and take you have to weigh here. If you're Aaron Roderick, Kalani Sitake, or anybody else in the BYU brain trust who goes about putting these game plans. And when I'm saying it, don't think that I'm revealing like confidential information. They're already talking about it in the offices. They know the numbers better than I even do in terms of how many hits you can take versus the risk reward factor. But I do think that they need to put more of this on the running backs. I hope to see more of that on Friday against West Virginia.